Hello, and thank you so much for tuning in today as we learn about GitHub Copilot for programmers, specifically web developers. We're going to be talking about this amazing VS Code extension. It's been out for a couple of years now, and I remember when I first downloaded and installed it, I said, whoa, this is amazing. This is so cool. It was so empowering, especially as, somebody who might have been like a mediocre developer, right? Like, it's incredibly empowering to have some of your answers just right there in your IDE available to you. Now, this first came out a couple years ago, and ChatGPT has more or less blown it away. I end up using a lot of more of my energy with ChatGPT whenever I'm programming. But I do use the GitHub Copilot for a number of scenarios that we're going to be exploring today. Let's go ahead and talk about real quick what is GitHub Copilot. I think I already mentioned it's a VS Code extension, meaning it's available in your IDE, your integrated developmental environment. And you download it along with other extensions like Prettier or ES7 snippets, React snippets, whatever. Like there's millions of extensions for VS Code, right? But GitHub Copilot's definitely one of the more popular ones. And the moment that you download it, you do have to go through like a login, song and dance. But after that, it's available to you. It's hitting API points and it's making calls to their large language model that's been trained off data from Stack Overflow as well as a bunch of other places. And it's just a really empowering tool. It's really helpful to have it right there where you're coding to where you don't have to go and fire up another tool to work with. So that's why I like it. There are some reasons I don't like it that you'll see in our videos ahead of us. For example, it can't help you with a bug, okay? And it probably will produce some bugs for you unless you're very specific about the kind of data that you want and what you're wanting it to return. But real quick, how is it used? It's designed to integrate seamlessly into that development workflow. As I've already mentioned a couple times, it's just awesome to have it right there in your text editor with you. Some of the key features include code completions. It will get stuck often. That's because it's not really designed like any of these tools to write all your code for you. It's just designed to fill in the maybe the rough spots and guess at where you're going with things. If you depend on it fully for just like code writing, then you're going to be disappointed, but it is pretty good with code completion. It's also has this awesome natural language interaction, meaning you can just type in comments into your code and using those comments, a lot like ChatGPT and whatever natural native language that you're using, it will just read those comments and then start looking for the code. It'll see that it's in a .js file, meaning it needs a JavaScript like syntax. And then it'll look around at the other code around it, and from there it'll guess where you're going with that. And the comments just give it a strong nudge in that direction. And it has lots and lots of language support. It's good with JavaScript. It's better with TypeScript, right? Whenever you specifically name your types and you get even more specific and use even more detail whenever you're naming your variables and things like that, it's only going to help your programming because of the natural language interaction and code completions that come with GitHub Copilot and its other language supports. So how do you get started with GitHub Copilot? Of course, our very next lesson is going to be a tutorial on how to do it, but don't worry. Just first ensure that you have a supported code editor. I use VS Code, but it is available in other code editors. After you've ensured that you're using a good code editor, install the GitHub Copilot extension. All right. Again, next video, I'll be walking you through how to do that. Finally, if it's your very first time installing this extension and using it, then it will ask you to sign in with GitHub to verify your account. You'll probably have to do that in the browser. And then after that, once you've gone through that, then you are ready to start coding with Copilot. You can start using the natural language processing where you like enter in some comments, or you can hit Control Enter or the shortcuts inside VS Code, and Control Enter will pull up the GitHub Copilot suggestions and start synthesizing some data and giving you some things to work with. What we'll do together in the next few videos is, like I mentioned, we're going to get started with GitHub Copilot tutorial. I've uninstalled it from my VS Code, and I'll walk you through how to find the extension, how to install it, how to make sure that it's working, and how to get started with it. After that, we're going to generate some starter data. We're going to create an array of objects. I haven't decided what we'll do yet, but it'll probably have many different key value pairs that we'll work through. And after we've generated that starter data, then we actually are going to stay inside of our IDE. We're not going to go anywhere else, not to documentation or not to ChatGPT or anywhere else. We're just going to use GitHub Copilot to create an Express.js server that serves up that starter data, okay? Before finally, we'll return a static website that renders our starter data in the browser. That way you're just not looking at a console log or some sort of systematic message. You can actually see it in the browser like our users expect out of us as full stack web developers. Here are some links that should absolutely be available to you in this course, including the main page for GitHub Copilot, some of the documentations, as well as some blog posts I found interesting on its capabilities or research and responsible pair programming with GitHub Copilot. Thank you so much for being here. I will see you in the next video as we work on getting started with GitHub Copilot, installing the VS Code extension, and ensuring that it's working properly. See you there. Bye-bye.